how has the EPA improved market access for Zimbabwean products currently, and what more can be done to ensure local businesses, especially SMEs, that they can fully benefit from this agreement?
Okay, I will start with the trade question. I think the EPA is a kind of free trade agreement which allows any Zimbabwean company to export duty and tariff-free any product to the European Union, a market of 27 member states. We have some being here, the biggest trading bloc in the world. Now that, on one hand, is good for Zimbabwe. On the other hand, the EU can also export to Zimbabwe, but not everything. We have currently 87% of the tariff lines which have been liberated, but there are certain products the EU cannot export to Zimbabwe. That's totally normal, and that also results in a trade deficit for the EU. Where again, we don't have a problem. We would like to have good trade ties with Zimbabwe. Now, over the last 3 years, we have seen an increase of trade of 30%. We have now reached 880 million as a trade volume per year. And I'm often saying, I hope we can collectively hit the 1 billion mark in trade. It would be great. But then on the other hand, and that hints a little bit to your question, we have only 200 companies, Zimbabwean companies, being registered for export to the EU. And that is actually relatively little. So more needs to be done. And whenever I go and I meet companies, and I guess for my colleagues it's similar, we meet companies who have never heard about the possibility of exporting duty and tariff-free to the EU. And therefore, I think the number one issue is information. Companies need to be informed. And then secondly, there's also a work to be done to implement it practically, because exporting to the EU also means administrative procedures, paperwork, etc. So we have several programs which facilitate trade with the EU, which are addressed in particular to small and medium-sized companies, but also smaller companies, to help them to overcome hurdles and to be able to export to the EU. And we are also working with the border authorities to also make sure they are informed about all the criteria which are needed for export. Because we have also heard that sometimes, for example, machinery are imported from the EU and companies nevertheless paid duty and tariffs. So I think that's due to a lack of information and a lack of training as well. So we are investing in that. But I think we are confident that we will continue on this positive path, 30% increase over the last 3 years, and we will potentially hit the $1 billion mark. This is the first ever EU Zimbabwe Business Forum. And in itself, I think it's something we discussed. I discussed with my fellow ambassadors here. It's a good moment to bring in European companies as well, show them the opportunities and possibilities in Zimbabwe, but also for Zimbabwean companies to meet European companies. I'm often saying if a European company comes here, it's better to work together with a local company than have a greenfield investment, because you need to know the context, the cultural context, the languages, etc. It's better to work together. So the purpose of this business forum is bringing companies together. They have a platform, B2B, where European companies can match with Zimbabwean companies and hopefully have joint ventures. Now, there was another work which we carried out. We asked the European companies what would be potentially value chains you are interested in. And then we worked together very closely with SIDA, CZI, and also Simtrade. And we asked the Zimbabwean side, what are value chains which are interesting for Zimbabwean companies? And we had a lot of different value chains. We did a match. And this match has led to 3 principal value chains. The first one is horticulture, agriculture, and agro-processing. Here we are talking, for example, about berries. We're talking about macadamia nuts, tea, coffee, citrus, etc. The second value chain is renewable energy. Here we are talking about off-grid solutions. And the third one is the mining value chain. We are not so much talking about primary mining, but we are talking about beneficiation of the mining value chain, for example, supplies, services. Sweden has recently also had an event around that area, because we believe that the EU has a lot to offer on machinery, on know-how, on services and supplies, which could be very helpful for the mining sector here. So it will take place on the 20th of May in the Makels Hotel. And so far, I'm looking at Tsitsi, who is somewhere here. We have around 200 companies who have registered, which is quite a nice volume already. And we hope, of course, that there will be a lot of cooperation between European and Zimbabwean companies. I will stop here, and I'm sure my colleagues would like to add something, because the companies are not coming from the EU, they're coming from the different member states.
Good morning to you all. Well, maybe just to say that we think it's a very important event, because we think it's a win-win for both Zimbabwe and Europe, having such a business forum. And we believe that there's a great potential for increasing trade and investments between Europe and Zimbabwe. And it's also, I think we have acknowledged, at least when it comes to the Swedish development aid, we have been providing development aid since 1980, when Zimbabwe became independent. But we are now shifting our support to a certain extent and focusing more on supporting the private sector, supporting young entrepreneurs. We know that it's difficult to get financing many times, especially for young people, and therefore we have specific projects in place to support, to help with startup capital to young entrepreneurs, for example. Because I think the SMEs was mentioned, and if you really can get the SMEs to expand, I think that will be like an engine in the economy, and also, of course, create job opportunities. So I think that's what I'd like to say.
We're trying our best to also attract our national companies to this forum. For France, we will have many French companies that will come at the occasion. I'm very glad that the forum was attractive enough to bring again French companies to RRA, as they already came last October. It has been a long time since French companies hadn't come all together to explore the potential of the Zim markets. So that's really good news in terms of improving our relationships and tapping indeed into the potential of not enough explored of the Zimbabwean market. As regards the startups, young SMEs and so on, let me just say a word on French initiatives that will be deployed at the occasion of the Zim EU Forum, Business Forum, which is nicknamed Digital Africa, and more specifically Fusée, which in French means rocket. So the French rocket will land in Harare end of May, and this French rocket will offer the opportunity to ambitious young Zim SMEs and startups to pitch their project. We will bring French experts in startup business who will carefully listen to their projects. And the best of them, the most promising of them, will have a chance to get an investment from France in their project. So it's very much in the spirit that my dear Swedish colleague was mentioning, that more and more we really want to be to approach the African business and the Zim business on an equal footing, in a spirit of reciprocal mutual interest. So it will be no donation, it will be an investment of French money in the most promising startups of Zimbabwe. It's called Digital Africa, Fusée, Rocket.
And to give us this possibility to expose the business forum that will be taken in a few days. In that forum, there will be 5 Italian companies, but besides that, Italy is very fond of and making business with Zimbabwe. The Italian companies have always, in fact, been present here. There are 3 companies with direct investments, and other companies are coming to make business quite frequently. In these days, there is a representative of important Italian companies that has contact with in the tobacco sector and the agricultural sector in general for promoting and also exhibiting here its biological products for agriculture. We just a few days ago, I was in Bulawayo for the trade fair. There were presence of Italian companies and as well another furniture from Italy of a big plant for proceedings and making seeds for animals. Very huge investment that was made in Bulawayo. So we in fact believe very much in the business with Zimbabwe, in line with the main principle of the president saying that Zimbabwe is open for business. So I really do hope that with the business forum things will improve even further, and I'm really confident that the follow-up of the forum after all the business to business meetings will give a great contribution of strengthening further the relations, the economic relations between European Union and Zimbabwe as a whole. Thank you.
Here today. Of course, I agree fully with my colleagues. I just wanted to add that trade and investment are really key factors to sustainable growth. And also the role of the private sector is highly essential. Zimbabwe, apart from being a highly friendly country, offers also lots of opportunities for investment. A highly educated population, stability in the country, and quite a few sectors where investment can flourish, such as agriculture, tourism, for instance, on which my country is very much interested, like Zimbabwe as well. So we really hope that this business forum will be a great opportunity for European businesses and Zimbabwean businesses to make a very good connection. And I'm positive that it will be a great success. Thank you very much.
During the forum, from the German side, we will have an initiative in cooperation with the Zimbabwean government on renewable energies. It's called Get Pro and Get Invest, and it will be looking at the fact that the government has given lots of licenses for renewable energy projects, and very few of them have only really materialized. So this will be an initiative that will analyze where the problems are, why there is such a low rate of implementation. They will certainly also look at the financement aspect, because that's very often the reason why this project didn't materialize. So that is something that's directly connected with this forum. As for Germany, I would say for the German companies. It's not the state. I mean, and that's why I really agree when you say it's the private sector that we have to look to. German companies operate very much independent from the state. So it's really private to private sector that has to be reinforced. And for the German private sector, it's certainly very important that you have a stable environment concerning the investments, concerning also the repatriation of funds, and this framework is, I think there's still room for improvement. And another subject I would like to raise is, as Germany has had, unfortunately, problems in the past also with bribes and corruption. I think that is a subject that is very important for German companies, that they do not get into that field. And therefore, that is an element where I think also a lot of improvement is needed. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. I would like just to point out something that haven't been said yet, that it's, I believe that this forum comes in the very, very best moment, where geopolitics are becoming very difficult, economic relations between countries in the world are becoming very strained, and this shows how open the European Union is. The European Union member states are too tight their relationships, economic relationships with Zimbabwe. I think we have to point out the benefits of the EPA agreement, and that we have to try to get the most out of it. And this will be really a win-win relation between us. Thank you.
We'll attend, I will be there in order to report, but we don't have any company so far. But it's quite important since we still don't know each other very well. And I think that one way, the most important way for two countries to know each other is the cultural field. That's why, including the gastronomic one, so we will see tonight or this evening. And on the other hand, also to explain to how to make business, what is the legislation, and to put companies in contact with each other. From the Portuguese point of view, we try to call some companies who are already in the region, but the most part are in the construction field. But I have some contacts with companies now in the horticultural field, and I'm trying the renewable energies. For the horticultural, they will be able to come later this year, and we try to organize a program, also taking into account the contacts I have made. I was present in the ITF, also I have meetings with the NCC, and I would like to be received to have some courtesy calls during these months, and then in July. And we've also taken into account that we have a large Portuguese community, including some businessmen and businesswomen, that they know Zimbabwe, and I can help, and I have the opportunity to speak with local authorities, Zimbabwean authorities, that are really open to business. So I wish luck for all of us. Thank you very much.
For my colleagues, I would just like to add a figure. I was talking about 30% increase on trade, and the objective to maybe hit the 1 billion mark. On EU foreign direct investment in Zimbabwe, we have an even better figure. We have an 86% increase, also over 800 million. So here as well, we hope to hit the 1 billion mark, and the EU Zimbabwe Business Forum will certainly contribute to that, because as my colleague all said, it's also important to know the country. It's a good timing to do it now, so we count on you as well to give an adequate publicity so that we have a large number of companies, and it will be a big success. Thank you.
Able to relay correct and precise information. That's my question number one. Number two, is on your statement regarding the usages of artificial intelligence. Okay, this you said at the trade fair again.
Rustica.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, thanks a lot. So on the first question, I think I partially answered that in the question the colleague said on trade. And also if you look, as I said, in the last 3 years where we went up, So the possibility for Zimbabwean companies to export duty and tariff-free is nothing new. The EPA exists since several years. It is more about using it and knowing about it. So again, to be very clear, any company, any Zimbabwean company can export duty and tariff-free. And that became, in a way, in the recent worldwide development where everybody's talking about tariffs and trade wars, became something we would like to underline, that in that time where everybody's talking about tariffs, we as a European Union offer to Zimbabwe and to Zimbabwean companies and duty and tariff-free export to the European Union. So I think that that on that side. On the artificial intelligence, you referred to the intervention I gave. I was together, by the way, with the French ambassador as well at Scholastica. So I spoke to young people, and I think it is it's more a very general statement that because I'm currently heading a pilot project for a European Commission to look into how public administration can use AI. It is something which I generally recommend to anybody, whether students or businesses, embrace AI. AI is there to stay, and it is and basically people not using it are already in competition with those using it. So I'm internally in my delegation promoting it. I'm promoting it inside the Commission services, but as a general message, I always say embrace it, use it, try it out yourself, and you will find out probably how useful it is for your own business as well. I don't know whether my colleagues would like to add anything on that.
Yes, Wallace Mawile, the Pan-African Vision. I just wanted maybe to get a post-mortem of the trade fair. How was it? For the EU bloc, is there any improvement from the previous engagements? And in view of the fact that you said there is a lack of information to some of the companies, how was it impactful in the interactions with the companies?
I will start with the trade fair. First of all, I had a little correction. This year we did not win the gold medal for the best exhibition. We won the gold medal for the best engagement in trade and investment. Okay. Yeah, which is also a gold medal, and we liked it a lot for everything we are doing collectively as Team Europe for the private sector in particular. I think ZITF, and I speak under the control of my colleagues who were there as well, is more than just Zimbabwe International Trade Fair. It's a platform. It's a platform for engagement. It allows to showcase what we are doing. We bring in European companies, and my colleagues will say a word on that. So we have gradually grown in the ZITF. We started 3 years ago, and then each year we became bigger. Also because we feel it is the right place to be, and I must say every time when I return to Bulawayo, I'm pleasantly surprised by the how dazzling this place is, and how many actors are there, and how many companies are actively promoting what they are doing. And we see also a growing number of European companies there. But I will not go further because my colleagues had their companies there. Maybe the Italian ambassador.
Trade fair in Bulawayo, there were 3 companies, Italian companies, showing their products and their work. We built dams, there were De Lorenzo, there was Novamont, and besides, there was also our trade agency, which is based in Johannesburg, and people there told me that they had a great number of contacts with Zimbabwe asking for information on making business with Italy. So it was a very nice experience there that certainly will be repeated as well. It will be repeated in the next year as well.
It was my first time at the ZITF, so I was, I must say, rather impressed by the diversity of interests and companies and activities that are being showcased at this occasion. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to show also our competencies and offers, not only in the field of trade and economics, but also, more largely speaking, for our cooperation projects. For example, CIRAD, which is a French agricultural research institute, very active in your country. They have been here for 30 years now, very discreetly but very efficiently, I think, developing a research project, was showcasing two major projects in Bulawayo at this occasion. And I see the opportunity also to draw your attention on the fact that in the margin of the business forum, the 21st of May, in the morning, we will organize a special ceremony with your political authorities to showcase a major French Zimbabwean project in the field of research that is a laboratory that is identifying in advance the risk of epidemia in Zimbabwe. This laboratory has been developed in partnership with the Zim University, with the UZ, and will be handed over to the UZ the 21st of May at the occasion of this ceremony. So it's another example of the fact that our cooperations are not limited to trade, to economic, but also touch upon research, science, culture, heritage. There is a broad range of interests that are linking our continent and your country.
So much to add. I think, as the EU ambassador said, it's much more than a trade fair. It's really a platform. I mean, every authority, every decision maker is actually in Bulawayo during the trade fair. And we had only 2 Swedish companies participating this year, but I think we will really try to make an effort for next year to engage more Swedish companies, because it's an excellent opportunity to meet not only other business companies, business partners, also to have an engagement with decision makers from the government, from different authorities.
Here in Zimbabwe since 1920s, and she was exhibiting a huge tractor during the fair for agricultural work.
Zimbabwe in Europe, the State Agriculture Fund announced through the third cycle of the Creative Actions Fund. My question is in 2 parts. What would you say has been the impact of the grant, that support over the past years? And is EU looking at renewing that support?
I started then, we just renewed it. So because it was a big success, we had almost 100 projects in the first round. We actually figured out that under Creative Action 2, it is important to not reach out to the big artists only, but there's so much talent around in Zimbabwe. Young artists, maybe not in Harare or Bulawayo, but in Binga or in Gonarasu or somewhere else. So we have launched Creative Action 2, which allows basically a young artist in a simple manner, not with a lot of paperwork, to get a grant up to $10,000 for what they do, and it could be an artist who performs. So singing, it could be somebody who does photography, it could be any artist, could be handicraft, etc. And that we have seen had a huge success. And it underlines also that there's a need for financing in the cultural sector, but also that there's so much talent around in Zimbabwe. So we have renewed it. It's currently ongoing, a second phase of it, and we expect basically it to be a similar success like the first one. But I would also like to underline that there are many more cultural activities also done by member states. And maybe, Per, if you want, you can introduce what we do just tomorrow, basically.
Well, first of all, I think it's what we are doing when it comes to development cooperation, when it comes to trade exchange, is important. But I think equally important is cultural exchange, cultural cooperation, because I think that could also build the bridges between countries. It can increase the understanding between people from Zimbabwe and Europe. And we have a big cultural event actually tomorrow at the National Gallery starting at noon, 12 o'clock, where we have, let's see now, 10 European artists from 7 different countries and 27 Zimbabwean artists that have been involved in collaboration, different collaborative efforts, and this will now culminate tomorrow. And I think this is something, if you have time, you should come and enjoy. We have a Swedish, for example, a Swedish R&B artist, Cherry, who will perform at 4 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. So I encourage all of you to come. She's very good.
And if you have still doubts, this evening you would get a preview, because a very famous German DJ, Niklas Kolos, is working together with Bantu Spaceship, and you will get a little preview what will be shown tomorrow. But then we have also the Alliance Française.
We have 2 Alliances Françaises, one in Harare and one in Bulawayo. And indeed, the cultural, scientific, knowledge exchanges are key in our relationship with your country. We also have a French school in Harare, hosting not only French school children, but also a lot of Zimbabwean school children and international foreigners from all around the world. But yes, culture, art are really very key, not only between the EU and Zimbabwe, but between France and your country. For a long time, once again, we have for 30 years now, we have had French researchers working on the ground in the fields of Zimbabwe very discreetly, but doing an incredible work to contribute to major challenges for your country, better understanding the impact of climate change, of droughts, how could we develop together ways to raise, for example, the maize in a more sustainable way, to address all these new challenges related to climate change. Those are really key questions that are being studied, addressed by these researchers, and I really invite you to have a look at the studies. And once again, in 10 days, the 21st of May, we will inaugurate this biological laboratory. That is a huge improvement in your capacities, national capacities, to identify the epidemia risks arising from the animal wildlife and threatening sometimes your cattle and your health. So that's a major cooperation between the UZ and France, illustrating once again the importance that we attach upon the scientific relationship. And one last word as well on this field, to say that we are developing a common project on the Great Zimbabwe side to build a new visitor center that I hope we could inaugurate by the end of the year. That is another illustration of the importance we attach to this field of cooperation. Thank you.
This days of the unique initiative that we are presenting in the next days here is simultaneous with the Festival for Sustainability on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda of the United Nations, that is developing in Italy during the month of May. And that's why our cultural project which will be presented in this unique event will be dedicated to recycling. And I really do hope you will have the opportunity to visit it and to appreciate it. Then the cultural presence of Italy here is quite relevant. We have a strong and constant collaboration between the Catholic University of Milan with the Catholic University here, as well as with St. John's School. And besides, there is the Ospitale Luisa Guidotti here, that is working in Zimbabwe since 40 years ago, and this is backed by Italian associations. So we are confident to improve it as well, this collaboration. And I have already said in another opportunity, there are Italian paintings of old masters here at the National Museum, and we have initiated also restoration work together with the National Gallery, and we do really hope to be able to continue further. Thank you.
An issue about the European Union. I know that for 2025, we have cut funding specifically amongst the government and other private activities that you've been doing. There is a real genuine fear that maybe this funding also that you've cut is going to affect specifically the NGOs and other PVO's development. Yet it was still the same reason why it was withdrew the same fund because of the PVO bill. Don't you think that this will also affect maybe the development or the progress that has been going on as far as the NGO and the various PVOs are concerned? And what are the activities that you could be doing specifically maybe within the media development in terms of funding and support?
Thanks a lot. The European Union, as Team Europe, has currently over $600 million US in projects running. There are no cuts in that project, and as regards civil society, we are by far the biggest funder in this country, and I'm very happy to say in the name of all of us that we have increased the funding and not reduced the funding to civil society organizations. We have recently launched several call for proposals. They allow small civil society organizations, but also bigger ones, to obtain funding, and I think it is something which we consider very important because civil society organizations in Europe are a pillar of democracy, and so we collectively attach a lot of importance to civil society, and we will always continue to support them. Thank you.
Questions are added bit of levity. I cannot help but notice that the French and Italian investors sitting next to each other. Could we get your prediction? PSG or Inter Milan?
PSG for sure.
I hope he's not saying PSG.
No, well, I was a fan also of Inter Milan, so I mean, my prediction is mandatory in a certain sense. I do hope Inter Milan will gain again.
So I'm the European ambassador, but I'm a fan of Bayern München. It's my hometown.
They are not playing.
I know they're not playing, but still.
Right, thank you.
Any other questions?